So good evening everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video, for a difference, we're not going to look at my images, but we're going to look at your images. So if you missed the message that I put on the comments or what I said in the last video from last week, I'm making this video with images that the audience, the viewers of these videos have sent to me, just to see what you are producing, tips and tricks on what I would do, maybe some editing tips. But I've received so many images that we're not going to waste that much time. We're just going to dive straight into this video and we're going to look at your images. So let's start. So before we start, a couple of things that I want to mention. First of all, I received so many images that I can't use them all in this video. So I try to select at least one image from everyone that sent a picture. And if you don't see your picture or the other ones that you've sent, I'm gonna keep those and maybe I will make another one of these videos. So if you wanna participate in another video like this, then send me the images. There is an email button on my website. If you go to the contact page and then email, then you can send me the images. Just send 1 or 2 JPEGs. And if you have any questions about the image, send them, put those questions along with that image and I will see what I can do with them. So I'm going to keep the other images and maybe I'll make another video when I've got enough more images. Second thing that I want to say is this is my opinion or my advice. I'm going to try to do it all uplifting, so I'm not going to do too negative about images. But I want you to know that do whatever you want. If I say something that you don't agree on, just do whatever you want. You know, it's not written in stone what I am saying. It's all part of creative freedom. Everyone looks at an image differently. This is how I would approach the scene, but yeah, maybe I say things that aren't even possible. You know, I saw a couple of images where I'm thinking maybe a step to the left, a step to the right, but I wasn't there when you took that shot. So I don't know if that is possible. So if it's not possible, then sorry about that. You know, I can smell that, but I'm just gonna say you what my thought process is when I see an image, and hopefully that will help you when you're in the field out next time. So let's dive into the first images and yeah, let's have a look at them. So this first images, I'm going to look at them in Lightroom, so maybe I can do a little cropping and stuff and show you what difference it makes. This first image that you're seeing, and I'm going to put the computer a bit like this, so you can see me at the same time. So I think that's much nicer. This first image is from Adrian. Yeah, and I absolutely love this image. I don't remember where it is. I think he mentioned it in his email, but maybe it's Iceland, something like that, looking at the color of the beach. It is amazing, but what I look as a photographer, this section over here, those big boulders, they are so good for a wide angle shot. The only negative if you use a wider angle like this, and I can't see what the focal range is of this image. It's not in the access data, so I can't see it. But if you use a wide angle and focus on these rocks in your foreground, then this section up here will disappear a bit in the background. So it's all up to what you want or what you don't want. The only thing that I wanted to say about this image is that I think there is a lot of sky in this shot, which makes it a little bit boring. So maybe I would have cropped that back a little bit by making it a 16:9, little bit like this. I think that's far more beneficial to an image like this. Then this line comes in going towards this, and the only thing you lose up there, and if you go back to the original, you can see the only thing you lose is a bit of blue, and I personally wouldn't mind that if this was my image. But for the rest, I absolutely love this image. I would love to be there one day for myself. Yeah, I think this is just really, really nice. The second image, this is one from Barry. He lives in Australia, and let's have a look. This is, I can see the focal range here. This is 100 millimeters. The first thing that I notice when I look at an image like this is the human eye always directly goes to the brightest part of the image. So in this case, you have a beautiful tree here, but the only thing I look at is this section up here. And I know it's a shame because you might clone out a little bit of that tree or crop out, but as good as that tree is looking, I would definitely crop that sky out or try to clone something in up there. Try to get rid of this section up here that is just so bright. Yeah, and for the rest, the foreground is a little bit messy. Sometimes you can't do anything about it, but I do like this subject of this tree up here. And what you can do if you have a situation like this, you have a bright sky and you have a bit of a rubbish foreground with a lot of stuff going on, you might also just say, okay, I'm going to concentrate on one particular section of this tree. Usually those images work very good as a square. So just looking how this looks. This is going to be a long video. I've already noticed it after 2 images. It's a good thing that I only selected 1 image per person. So, but I think this looks pretty nice if you want to do something like this. But it's just a very difficult spot to take a really great image. But yeah, if I had to choose something, I would prefer this section instead of that top section with that blown out sky. I'd never prefer that. Well, this image is from Brian, and Brian said to me in the email that I was asking for trouble with making this video. Well, he didn't lie. He sent a beautiful portrait, by the way, but I chose this image from him because I thought it was, at first I looked at this image, and you're probably looking at it right now and thinking, what the hell? But he transferred this image to a negative. So if you look at it right here, you can see this is the original, and this is the negative version that he converted using Photoshop or Lightroom or however he did it. And at first I thought, wow, what is this? I really don't like it. But the more I look at it, the more I understand what he tried to do. And I actually quite like the result. It's really artistic. And this is what I meant, you know, photography is absolutely subjective to your own freedom, artistic freedom. So yeah, if this is your thing, absolutely go for it. And it's different, you know, and maybe I should try something like this sometime. Just only take these kind of images with all these filters. Maybe we'll get some surprising results. This image is from David, a beautiful waterfall. I absolutely love it. The only thing that I always dislike on waterfall shots is that in an image like this, it's difficult to see the scale of the waterfall. So I always try to search for at least something pretty close by that benefits from that scene, so that you can see how big the waterfall is. But in this case, it's positioned nicely, but it's just a little bit of a boring image. And if you have something in your foreground, that usually disappears because you get this sense of depth and size in the image. You can see the scale of the waterfall, and that can be some roots of a tree, a rock, or even a leaf that's floating in the water. You know, be creative, try to find something, but it usually works really well. But it's a really, really nice waterfall. So yeah, and the next thing that I was noticing, there are a couple of gnarly trees up here. So maybe it would have been nice if you just, how do I do this? Let's get it to, I'm just gonna do it like this and show you. If you see the screen flickering from time to time, you know, recording a video at the same time as editing in Lightroom, it sometimes troubles the image a little bit. But just look at this shot. You know, this is what I noticed. And you see all these roots up here. I think this is already a pretty nice shot, even without that foreground. But you can also do it this way. For example, make it a 1x1 and go for a very minimalistic kind of shot like this. So there are multiple shots in here that are I think, more attractive than the whole scene together. Yeah, this is an image from Ernest from the south of Germany, a long-time viewer of this channel. I think he was one of the first actually to join the subscribers. And he was actually the whole reason why I'm making this video right now. So a couple of weeks ago, I put a message out that I had a little bit of a photography rut, not much inspiration. And he contacted me and he said, well, you did a video like that about a year ago. Maybe you should make another one. And so here it is. This is the video. So this is the file that I selected from you. And I think this is a really stunning atmospheric image. And you know that I like those. So I know you sent it because of that. But the only thing I notice is this section up here. Everything, all my attention goes to this point because it's the brightest part of the image again. And I would definitely get rid of this section in Photoshop or whatever, or crop it out, but I wouldn't leave it in the image. No, if you look at it without it, it gets a much stronger vibe to the image. And you see that there is not much room to crop here. So in this particular case, I would clone this section out with normally Photoshop. I will try to have a look how it looks if I do it in here. Just to show you a little bit of the idea that if that bright spot isn't there on top, then it gets a whole a better image. Your attention goes much more to the foreground instead of that ugly spot on the top there. And don't be afraid to raise that white balance just a little bit further to give it that little bit of a punch. And yeah, I think the only thing missing here is some sort of cormorant or some bird sitting on top of those woods. You know, that would have been absolutely amazing. This is a picture sent by George, and he particularly said to me, well, he was at this epic point at Mount Fuji, and he was wondering how I would have edited this image. Because he was struggling with it a little bit. This is his final version, a square JPEG, and he also sent me the raw file. So this is the raw of the image, and I personally looked at it and I was thinking, oh, it's a shame you cropped away this section up here. Okay, I understand that you don't want this amusement park down here in the bottom of your frame, but I wouldn't crop away this section up here. So personally, I think I would crop it a little bit, but I would try to keep this beautiful leaf here in the frame. So maybe just do something like this. You know, it's very difficult, but it's just a very difficult spot to get a cracker image. But the way I would edit this, I would definitely pull all those highlights back. You know, you can see in this version that the sky is very, very bright. So I think the image is a little bit overexposed. So I would definitely pull the highlights back and make those blacks a little bit darker and the overall exposure a little bit down. So I think something like this. You can see that there's more detail in the sky right now. And just to show you, I would just select those leaves here in the foreground. You see, I don't really, I'm not doing such a good job now in selection. I've missed a little, spilled a little bit outside here, but usually Lightroom does a pretty good job at this stuff. And I just light up those leaves a little bit more contrast there. And I personally think I would go for something like this, but if you take this image next time, maybe I would go a couple of steps to the right, but you explained that you had just seconds time before you had to leave. But if you go a couple of meters to the right, you might have used this section up here on the left and this section on the right to frame that mountain. It's now positioned a little bit on the wrong spot. So a couple of meters to the right would definitely have improved this image. But it's just really hard to make something of the image right now because the composition is a little bit off. But yeah, I get what you mean with those colors here, and you can still do that the way you did it by making the image a little bit more like this, and maybe by positioning that mountain not on the central part is also more interesting. You see if these leaves are balanced more in the bottom, then it immediately gets a different sort of image. But it's just a really hard image. I think it's in the middle of the day. Looking at there's almost no shadows anywhere. So yeah, I totally understand that you are struggling with this image. I'm also struggling with this image. Yeah, it's just the time of the day. You know, you can't take a cracker image all the time. This image, I really liked it. Yeah, this foggy bridge going into the background. Personally, I think I would have gone for a portrait-orientated shot here, even though I like this negative space on this side. But you could have enhanced this section in the bottom here. I don't know what's underneath here. Maybe it's not that interesting, but I just had the feeling that if the image would be more like this, with a little bit more space on the top and the bottom, above the street light and underneath this bridge piler, that it would really, it would show a little bit more interest to the bridge without losing that sense of negative space on the left. You can see there's still more than enough negative space left, but I wouldn't do much more to it. You can punch it a little bit with some more contrast, that you can see the bridge a little bit better. Don't dehaze it too much. You can see that, that the fog usually doesn't like it when you start to dehaze it too much. So I think a really nice image. I would have loved to see it in portrait. So if you have it in portrait, please send it to me. I would love to see that. This image is from Georgie. Yeah, you know, I looked at it. I have absolutely nothing to say about this. This is absolutely fantastic. I think I wouldn't have done a better job here. You know, all these lines, how this bridge is positioned, all the buildings are straight. Maybe it's a little bit off to the left. If I look at it now, I think it is. No, those buildings are a little bit off, but that's just due to the lens that's used. I think something like this is a little bit better, but it's a fantastic image. You know, the reflection here, maybe, just maybe, I don't know if you've positioned this person here, but it looks like this person is walking over here. And I don't know if you have more images, but if this person was just a couple of meters further, you might have got a complete full reflection. And because the person is closer, you could see her a little bit better in the image. But, you know, that's the only thing I can say about it. This is just fantastic. This is an image from Han. He said to me that he was experimenting with panoramic images just to see how it worked. And he sent me this and asked, do you have anything to say about it? Well, first of all, you can see that the panel is going a little bit downwards, a little bit diagonal. So if you put it straight, a little bit like this. But what my problem is with this image is that the castle on this side is just too close to the edge of the image for my taste. If you put a subject like this in your image, so a castle, then I would at least try to keep the same amount of space that you have on the right side, on the left side. Then it's central in the image and it gets much easier. But again, like I said earlier, this is just a difficult time of the day. You can see on the shadows, this is, yeah, I think it's pretty late in the day, but just go here with a sunset, with a beautiful sky behind it. I think you can make a really great image here. This image is from Huub, and yeah, I actually kind of like this. The only thing I wanted to say about this is I looked at all those shelves down here in the bottom, and I thought to myself, wow, that is amazing. You know, I would have loved to see a very big wide angle shot with all those shelves in the foreground and then that majestic, really contrasty sky in the top. I think it would have been an amazing shot. And right now it's a little bit boring because there's not really a subject except for those clouds up here. But with those beautiful shelves, I think there is a possibility there. So if you're ever there again, or maybe you have an image like that, then send it to me. I would love to see it. But especially when you look at a little bit of a line here, you have this line going to those clouds. So there's definitely possibilities if you use the shelves as your leading lines in your in the image. But that sky is just fantastic. So yeah, I think there's lots of room with that foreground. And it's actually the same with this image from Jaap. He said to me, well, I had some beautiful skies, it was a beautiful place, but I couldn't find a subject. Actually, I looked at this image and I was thinking, well, there is quite a subject in here. Are those stones enough? Yeah, you can doubt about that, but I actually kind of like what you did with this image. So yeah, I wouldn't do, I really wouldn't change much to it, but maybe if you see it more like a portrait shot, just like the last one from Huub, and enhance that foreground a little bit, then you can make these little rocks the stars of the show, not the stars of the show, but at least it can be something interesting. And then you can still have this beautiful sky up here, but it still is a very nice image, the way you took it. Just to show you that it doesn't really matter for sky, you can still have that beautiful sky. And usually when you go and take a wider shot of that foreground, then the sky immediately gets wider. So I think you will have the same result when it comes to how wide your image is going to be, but you're going to have a little bit more foreground. And by doing that, you're just gonna change the position of the horizon line, which usually makes it a little bit more interesting. And the point now is that it's taken, I think, about 1 meter or 2 meters above the ground, and just correct me if I'm wrong. But due to that, this mid-ground section here appears to be quite large. By going lower to the ground, this mid-ground section gets smaller, and it isn't that dominant in the frame anymore. So you can enhance those rocks in the foreground and enhance that section of the sky with those beautiful clouds in it. And yeah, that definitely works, if you ask me. This is an image from Johan. He sent me 2 I think focus stacked macro shots, not really my specialty, but it's a very nice, perfectly worked out focus stack. The other one was from a large spider that I just thought, I'm not going to show that because some people are going to run away from the screen. But yeah, this is a perfectly executed focus stack, if you ask me. Like I said, I'm not really into macro, but yeah, I think this is a nice version. This is an image from my friend Joris. He also runs a YouTube channel from Belgium. And we're still planning to meet up at some point. And he sent me this image. You know, he knows probably that I really like atmospheric images like this. What I looked at this image, the first thing I noticed was this path over here. I was thinking, that's a shame, you know, the mood, the atmosphere, everything is here in this image, but this path is really disturbing me. I would personally just get rid of that path and maybe just take the image a little bit like this. You know, you lose that freestanding forest feeling, but I think the image still works really well if you crop it back a little bit. And you can see that I do a lot of time, spend a lot of time looking at my images. Okay, can I correct it a little bit by cropping it here, cropping it there a little? But all in all, it usually works. If I was here at this particular moment in time, I would have probably positioned that moon between those trees and just walked a little bit further to the right over here, then put the moon between the trees. I think that would have been an absolute cracker shot. But hey, I wasn't there. I don't know if it's possible. Maybe it wasn't allowed. Maybe there wasn't enough time. You know, there's all kinds of reasons why things sometimes don't work out. But yeah, it is a fantastic shot, but I would just crop out that little section on the bottom there. This image is from Marius. I don't know if I pronounce your name right, actually. Marius, just sorry if it's not correctly, but I just wanted to say fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I have nothing to say about this image. You know, I wish I could have taken this image myself. The only thing that you can do if you're ever around again, just keep your eye out for the position of this windmill. If you're there again and the windmill is more facing you, take the shot again, the exact same shot with the windmill towards you. It will definitely improve the image. Right now it's just a little bit off center, but you can't do anything of it. You can't turn that mill around or anything, but you definitely executed this long exposure perfectly. I have nothing to say about that. So the edit is good. Yeah. In this case, you see the horizon line is also in the center, but because the reflection is perfectly executed, I don't mind that. With a reflection like this, I always put the horizon in the middle myself. This image is from Nancy. She lives in Austria. She said, yeah, I just saw a real nice spot of beautiful light and I had to take this picture. I was looking at it and I was thinking, I get the nice light, but there's not really a nice subject in the image. You know, you have this telephone pole and this house, but there's a lot of space on the left here. So I would definitely probably have gone for something more like this, more like a 1x1, or maybe not even, you know, I'm just trying something. I think a step to the right and a portrait would have worked. Then you would still have that beautiful light in your image, but like you said, it was a couple of seconds and then that light was gone. I tried to edit your image. You sent me the raw file also. So I tried to work with that, and personally you can see here that there is this bend in the street over here that already makes the image a little bit more interesting. So I would definitely keep that bend in the shot and not like this one where you cloned this, then you cut that section out. I would probably leave it in, maybe a little bit like this, but you already lose a little bit of that bend here in the bottom. So I would go for something like this if it was my shot. If I had to say what I have to do, and you send it to me, you wanted to know what I would do, so I'm going to show you. So just gonna do a quick edit over here. But it's a very, very difficult image. So I get that you struggle with this. There's absolutely no shame in struggling with an image like this. So yeah, you see, I'm struggling with this also. It's very difficult. You just have a couple of subjects that don't really align very nice to make it a good image. So you could enhance that light a little bit from that left side. That's what I always do. So I'm just selecting the sky here. You can enhance that a little bit with colors, but you still have this compositional problem that you're facing here. So if you ask me, it's just a really nice light, nice atmosphere, but yeah, the composition is a little bit off, and I think that's why you're struggling a bit with this image. But I don't know how to position that power line or telephone pole. I don't know what it is. I would probably position it a little bit more right than the road coming in from the side leading to that house on the left top. So a couple of steps to the left would probably have improved this image a lot. This is an image from Peter. I actually like this look-through section over here, but there's so much going on the side here, and these sides are pretty bright, as you can see. So my attention doesn't go here, it goes to these sides over here. So first thing I would do, I would make these sides here just a lot darker, and let's just see what we can do here, if I can show it. So if you make this a lot darker, you're really enhancing, you're pulling the viewer's eye into this back section down here. You can even light up that section a little bit. And you see what difference that makes. If you look at the before and after here, you know, this is before. In this shot, I'm looking at these sections here. And in this shot, I'm definitely looking on that part on the back of that bridge. So a little bit of dodging and burning here does a very, very good trick. You could even make a different crop of it by making it a portrait shot or maybe a 1x1. So you're leaving out a little bit on those sides. It doesn't affect the image too much. So yeah, definitely nice. And one little tip from me, I don't know if it's possible, but in this case I would have left a little bit more space on top if I could, to enhance that view of that you're looking through something and underneath something. And I think it's possible if you look at the amount of leaves that's going up here, but you know, I wasn't there. But I think this is the way to approach a scene like this. Just make the foreground darker to enhance your view to go into that path. This image from Roberto, I looked at it, amazing atmosphere. I absolutely love it. And this is the typical image where I'm saying, I don't know if it's possible, but if it was possible, I would have stepped a couple of meters to the left to get this section up here. I'll get rid of this, in this spot over here. And I don't know if it's possible. I get what you're trying to do with this tree and with those beautiful mountains, but it's all hidden now behind this tree. And that's a shame. You know, if it was possible to go to the left, I would have walked a little bit further and then you could see those mountains better. And the other option that you have, if you walk up over here, then try to take an image underneath that tree. But right now it's a shame that the most beautiful spot of the image is hidden behind that tree. But the atmosphere that you caught is absolutely amazing. So yeah, I don't know if it's possible. Let me know in the comments if it was, and let me know where it was taken, because it looks like a spot that's really interesting. So this image is from Robert. He's from the USA and he visited, I think it's in North Dakota, Theodore Roosevelt National Park, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of bison there, and he got this really nice shot and he sent me 2 crops of this image. So you see, this is his cropped version and this is the original version. And I would definitely go for the original version here, but normally with animals, I always try to position them so that they're walking into the frame. And right now he's actually walking out of the frame, which makes it look a little less attractive. And with the crop that you made, you actually enhance that feeling of making the bull walk out of the frame, the bull, the bison. But if you go for a 2x3 and just position it more like this, I hope you can see the difference here between this version and this version. That there's much more space on the left of the image, the left of the bison, and that usually really benefits the image. So with animals or people or anything, always try to leave more space in the area where they're looking to, because that will enhance the sense of depth and space in an image. Where you do have an opportunity to move left and right is with a scene like this. I definitely love the atmosphere. I love that golden light vibe and those bluish, purplish flowers in the bottom. When I look at this image, I immediately notice this tree here in the back, and just moving 5 centimeters to the right would probably hide this tree behind this one. It's a small detail, but with a scene like this, those details usually make a massive difference. And if you go to the right a little bit and this is hidden, you might have the same problem over here with this tree. And I think if I look at it from this angle, I think if you go a little bit further, you can hide them both. This one behind this tree and this one behind this tree. If you can't, I would go a little bit to the left to create a little bit of space between this one and this tree. that would definitely improve the scene if those aren't intersecting each other. So if I'm in a forest shot, I always try to look at look at the trees and see if nothing is intersecting with one another. That definitely improves the shot. This is an image from Stein from Sweden. He actually visited my friend where I was in Sweden a couple of years ago. And I think this is a really nice image. The only thing I never like in a portrait shot is a 3x2 image. So just make it smaller, make it this is a 4x5, which usually works really nice. And it's just a really nice flow. But for my taste, there was a little bit too much sky in it. And usually when you shoot in a full frame camera, you have a 3x2 sensor. If you put that in a portrait orientation, I always feel those images get a little bit too narrow. So in portrait, I always crop away that. With my Micro Four Thirds camera, I don't really have that problem because the image in portrait size is a little bit wider. So for portraits, it's fantastic. So, but I wouldn't do much more to this image than this. I think it's really nice how this flows into the background. You might want to enhance a little bit of contrast here on this road so that your eye leads to that section up there a little bit more. I don't know if it's possible. It's very hard to do on a JPEG, but I think I would do that. Try to lead your eye a little bit to that section, and maybe next time turn a little bit more to the left, that this tree here gets a little bit more on that right spot of the image. This image is from Tommy. Really nice atmosphere, some nice sky over here. The only thing is that probably by using a wide angle, this house is a little bit off. There's an easy fix for that in Lightroom. If you just go all the way down to the transform section, you can use the guidelines over here. Just take one over here and pull one on the horizon, and you can see you can straighten that house completely with just one click, and the image looks much better. Just look at the before and after. You know, nothing's changed except for the shape of that building, which you can definitely prevent when you use that. You can prevent it in the field. You know, it's just physics that things distort when you're using such a wide lens, but it's easy to fix in post-processing. So keep an eye out on that trick. This is what I wanted to say about this. I think it's a really nice image, except for there is so much sky up here. In this case, you want these people, the attention to be on those people, and there's already a really bright light source up here. But I was just looking at it, and I know what you're trying to do, because you're probably thinking, okay, I want this tree in my frame, but right now it's just on the edge. So just leave it in completely or cut it off, because on the edge usually doesn't really look that aesthetic. So if this was my image, I would probably go for something more like this. Maybe even further. Maybe I would even go for 16:9. Too crazy here. I'm just going to show you my thought process. I think I would go for something like this. I don't know. It's a difficult shot, but I really like the atmosphere that you've got here. I would just play around a little bit to find that little bit of balance between the people and the sky, and so maybe something like this. You know, cut away a little bit of that top section there. I think the image definitely improves. And if you want, don't be too shy on those beautiful golden tones. You know, you can definitely improve it and make it a little bit warmer. You can see that the massive difference it makes on those people here. If you look at it now, it looks a little bit flat, but just by increasing that white balance a little bit to the warmer tones, immediately a much warmer feeling comes over this image. So, but overall, I'm definitely impressed by this shot. really nice. This shot is from Wim. He took it in the south of the Netherlands, actually the place where I was about a month or 2 months ago. I put a link up to the video up here. I was on the complete opposite, somewhere on this mountain here on this side, or I don't know where the mountain is, but I photographed, I think, quite the same trees, but from much further away. I like the sky, the atmosphere that you've got. There is a little bit of flare here in this field that you can easily get rid of with the clone tool here. So just yeah, I'm doing a sloppy job here, I have to say that, but just have a look. If you position it correctly, you can easily fix a spot like that. You know, this is still a really fast job, but I think I would do that. And the other thing that I would do is I would crop this a little bit and just see why. If you go crop it back a little bit like this, you can position that sun exactly on that cross-section point of the rule of thirds. And then you have exactly, almost exactly 1/3 foreground, 2/3 sky. And it makes a massive difference to the image. So those are two things that I would do. And you might even want to increase the warmth of the image just a little bit. And what I noticed is that you've pulled in quite a big vignette. I would try to reduce that a little bit, that effect a little bit. It's a little bit heavy and it looks quite dark in the sky here. It doesn't really look that natural. So I would try to get rid of that vignette if it's possible. If you want to apply a vignette, do it in the bottom here, but not in that sky. It just doesn't look really natural usually. So I always try to avoid vignettes in the sky. So I think this is the last image that I'm going to talk about today. So it's already a quite possibly 40-minute video. So looking at those images just takes way more time than I expected. So I hope you found your image if you send it and that you find my tips interesting. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? I hope I didn't do too negative about images. The only thing I wanted to do is give some uplifting comments, so, you know, give some positive feedback, how you can improve the images, and not so much focus on what's bad about it, but definitely what you can improve. I hope that worked out. Let me know if that worked out or if I have to work on my own approach to these videos. So yeah, thanks for watching once again. If you have some images that you want me to look at, have some tips and tricks, just send them to me. And maybe you will see it in the next video that I will make. Yeah, maybe I'll make this once in a while if you appreciate this video. So, thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next video on location again with my son in the Netherlands. If I'm not mistaken, that is the next video. And yeah, I hope to see you then. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.